Hi, welcome to Parent Chat today. My name is Connie Gross, and I'm an early childhood mental health consultant for Children's Resource Center in Bowling Green. And today we're going to talk about ways to increase your child's self-help skills. This is really great because it can help reduce the stress parents feel, but also is a great way to build your child's self-esteem. So today we're going to look at some strategies that really focus on building initiative, which is that drive to do things on their own. So the first one here is family jobs. And family jobs is such a great strategy because it builds a sense of community in our home where everyone contributes and we all work together to get things done. It does take a little bit of work up front in getting this kind of set up. And I have an example here, which is pretty detailed. It could be done much, much simpler than this. The example here has three kids on one chart, and you'll notice that each of them has a different amount of chores. That probably has to do with their age and what they're capable of. My guess would be that these are their chores for the whole week. And the nice part about that is it also builds some choice in there because it looks like they're able to kind of choose what order they do their chores in and when, which makes children generally more motivated to do those things when they get to choose them. And then they just put a little dry erase check mark by it when it's done. And you might also notice that there's some Velcro dots there so that parents are able to kind of switch out the chores. So you could give them different chores depending on the week or maybe the things they're interested in doing or even the season. Like there might be some chores outside during the summer and then maybe shoveling the snow in the winter or something like that. I have a job chart that is goes by age. If you're interested in that, feel free to use my email address that will be given at the end that you could email me and I'd be happy to send you any of the resources we talk about today. The next strategy is called small steps, and that's breaking tasks into what their small steps are and using a visual for that so that the grown-ups don't have to give as many commands. Now, these are best for routine activities, so things that we do frequently and we kind of try to do the same way each time. And when we use a visual like this, in general, it reduces the amount of commands the adult has to do because they can just kind of refer to what should you be doing next. And as we build that routine in and it becomes predictable, the child will need less adult engagement anyway. A few nice things about this. One of them is that, of course, there's going to be maybe some components to this that the adult is still involved with. If you look at the example there, a bedtime routine, if you have a young child, you're still going to be a part of bath time, right? But there might be other parts of that that they're able to do independently. So maybe you're with them for bath time, but then they go and get their own pajamas on, which also offers them the opportunity to show some initiative and maybe pick out their own pajamas. And then maybe you'll revisit them again when it gets down to read a book. Um, but those middle steps they might be able to do independently. The other nice thing about this strategy is it's really good for things that could be kind of overwhelming. So for example, like cleaning your bedroom, you don't always have to have a visual, but breaking it into small steps can help your child accomplish a lot more. So for example, if they have to clean up their toy room, let's say, it might be really messy. My kids' toy room's often really messy. And if I just told him, go clean up your toy room, I mean, I don't know about you all, but oftentimes 10 or 15 minutes later, my little guy's just sitting in the middle of the room playing with something, and it doesn't really look like he's cleaned up anything. Breaking it into small steps might look like me saying, okay, it's time to clean up the toy room. Are you going to clean up the trucks first or the blocks? And then he gets to choose and go clean up one of those areas. So he's putting all of the trucks in the bin, and then we move on to the next thing. This builds in him the ability to not just look at the whole room, but to kind of break those things down into smaller steps and accomplish some of that he can feel success about. I can encourage him along the way, even praise when he does do things well, and get that toy room cleaned or that big project done without all the meltdowns and me swooping in and just doing it because I want it to be done type of thing, which can often happen. The third strategy here is a home schedule. And a home schedule is really nice. Again, it's a little bit of work up front, but it just kind of outlines the general order of the day, and it helps our home feel more safe and predictable. In general, grown-ups make the decisions about what's going to be done when and on what days, and this kind of helps our children be mentally prepared for what is expected or what's coming that day. Now, this schedule is just on the side of the fridge, and the parents just use lined and stick drawings to kind of outline what they were going to do. And so, like, it starts the day with you can have breakfast and TV time, and then you're going to do the next thing and the next thing and the next thing, and then we'll have lunch. And so it just kind of goes through what activities are coming in the day. Now, unlike what we looked like at before with those visuals, is that it might just say, you know, we're going to get up and have breakfast, and it doesn't outline exactly what your child needs to do to get prepared for the day. And so that's how those visuals might come in handy. Down at the bottom, it might just simply say bedtime, but that visual for bedtime might help with the 4 steps that need to happen before we're ready for bedtime. A couple of other things to note about this is that you see the clip on the fridge where there's some unused cards. You know, every day isn't the same at my house and probably not at your house either. And so we can have cards for things that happen sometimes, like maybe doctor's appointments or we're going to the park or whatever the case might be. So we can switch those out. And these are just magnets, so it can be really simple to switch them out. And then they also have a magnetic clothespin there that they could either clip to the card, or it looks like they're just moving it down beside the card, but just kind of says, hey, here's the step we're at, here's where we're going. A home schedule could or does not need to include times. It's just a general flow. It's not some rigid, we only have 10 minutes to do this thing and breakfast is only allowed to take 7 minutes and whatever. It's a general flow of the day. What are the kind of the main things we do, and in what order do we do them in? When things are predictable, children in general are more compliant and willing to go along with those things. So the next strategy here to increase our child's self-help skills is to use encouragement. And encouragement is a bit different than praise in that it's not our judgment on how they're doing, but it's really giving them specific positive feedback in a way that's not judgmental and not about our evaluation of them, but really commenting on maybe how they feel about it or just noticing the things they've done. And it can be given at any time, where generally praise is reserved for when something is accomplished or finished and done well. Encouragement can be used along the line. This can motivate our children to keep going even when they're starting to feel discouraged. I'm also able to provide this resource if you'd like to email me. But just some of the examples from this is something like, it makes mornings so much easier when you get yourself dressed. Thank you for that. I really enjoy working with you on getting the backyard toys cleaned up. You kept going even when it was hard, and you got that whole toy room cleaned up. You worked really hard. So just statements acknowledging what your child did and acknowledging their work on things. And they can be given at any time. We don't have to wait until it's done. We can encourage them along the way as they're doing tasks too. And as we do this, they'll be more likely to continue working or continue on those tasks rather than maybe getting up. The next strategy here is offering options. And there are a lot of times we could offer options to our children. Allowing them to make choices helps them feel in control. And as we give them appropriate opportunities for control, we're going to see less power struggles. So just the example here on the screen is there's several shirts here, letting them pick what they wear. There might be days where that's you can't do that because they need to be wearing a certain thing. But if you have a time where it doesn't really matter what they wear or their shorts will match anything, giving them those opportunities to make their own choices will help them to be more compliant in other areas. And it also will empower them to make some choices on their own and take care of some things on their own, which frees you up to go do some other things. So if they're able to get themselves dressed, or maybe at times you might be able to say, we're going to have veggies for dinner. Should we have peas or carrots? Only if those two choices are both acceptable. But anytime we have a choice where it's okay for our child to make a decision and we give them the opportunity to do that, they're going to be more compliant in other areas because of that. Now, of course, there are going to be lots of times where we can't let our children make decisions because sometimes things have to be a certain way to keep them healthy and safe. And of course, you would not give them options during that. But thinking about ways you can build options into the day. The next strategy here is using visual cues, and you could think of this kind of like the speed limit sign. You know, most of us know the speed limit in town is usually around 35, but they still post the speed limit everywhere, right? And I don't know about you, but when I see the speed limit sign, I check my speedometer, right? It's kind of like a self-check. Make sure I'm following the rules. Well, that's how visuals can work for children too. If we have visuals about what we want our children to be doing, when those are kind of like, for example, this one could be hung in the playroom and it shows kind of appropriate play behavior, and then it also shows something we would not want them to do X'd out. So this could just be a good visual reminder of what kind of behavior is expected from them. And so we might hang something like this in the playroom. We might hang something on our swing set that shows them going down the slide and not up, if that is a rule at your house. So just visuals, again, that give your child that independence to follow those expected behaviors without needing a grown-up to be giving so many commands and kind of managing so much of their behavior. There's lots of visual cues for lots of different behaviors, especially friendship cues and clues about maybe sharing toys or working together. And again, feel free to email me if you would like any of those resources. At the top here is my email address. It's connieg@crcwoodcounty.org. And then there's some other websites there where either I got some of the pictures from today, or you can find more resources to help with your child's social emotional wellness. And if you're able to check out the other videos on our YouTube channel, there's tons of great tips for parents and caregivers about how they can help build skills for their children. Thanks for watching. Have a good day.